Show, live from Rudy's Barbecue on Harvey Road in College Station. Presented by Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. Also brought to you in part by Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue. Visit Rudy's.com to find real Texas barbecue near you. AT&T, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. And by Bud Light. This football season, keep it crisp with Bud Light. Please drink responsibly. Now, here is the voice of Texas A&M football, Andrew Monaco.
Howdy. Thank you so much for being here once again this week for the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It is presented by Capital Farm Credit. We are at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road, and all these Aggie fans are here. You can join us all along our network. You can join us on Facebook Live as you do every week. We thank you so much for that. Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
He is the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. Aggies are now 3-2 after their 31-27 win over Arkansas in the Southwest Classic, and it's bye week. First of all, I'm so glad that I can exhale after that game on Saturday because my heart stopped and my breathing stopped a little bit during that game.
It was. It seems to always be a nail biter, and playing really well for a while, and especially offensively. Defensively, they moved the ball the whole game on us, and they really did a nice job. But we had some chances, and we had a lull on offense, and had 6 drives the first half, scored 3 touchdowns, and had the ball 5 times the second half and scored. But the good thing about it, we had to pick down there. We had 2 third downs we didn't get, and then we picked up 10 straight points when we had to have them. And Seth made a big kick. Defensively, we did get the 1 stop at the end of the game. But there was a lot of fundamental things we got to get worked on. And special teams, even Brandon, Braden hit a punt that was in the middle of the field that hurt us on a big return, and they got it because we cover. We were setting the cover the way we kick it, and had just a lot of little things. Just not enough consistency in what we did, but their heart, the perseverance, the ability to make plays when they had to make them, they did it. We just got to get better fundamentally.
Yeah, you talked about that. You praised the resiliency, and they hit some adversity, and they were able to overcome that. Is that one of the good things that happens?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, you got to learn to respond, and you're not going in the tank when things go bad. And both times they took the lead, we responded right back, just like in the first half. When we had chances to really get ahead, we didn't do that. But when they got ahead, and then we went down a 2-minute drive before the half, which was huge in the game. I thought that was a huge drive in the game. And then to be able to come back once we went down 24-21, we were able to come back and get 10 points and get back in that regard.
Your rhythm on the offense seemed to start a lot earlier. That was nice to see.
Oh, yeah, we got going. And the disappointing thing, we had a touchdown the first drive. We misplayed the ball and had a touchdown the first one and scored 2 straight touchdowns. And then we got going and then had the turnover. But, which we got to stop and can't do that. That was a miscommunication. But we just got to get better at that things. But the tempo and the rhythm on a lot of things, third down we were good and did a good job.
You said this to me a couple weeks ago. There seems to be a single mistake on a bunch of plays. You wish it would just happen on one play.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and different guys take turns. And there's no sport where your teammates are more important than football. I mean, it really is. It's the most team sport there is. That every little block, every little angle, every little route, every little throw, everything matters. Defense, how you fit. If we're perfectly blocked and the linebacker steps outside with a safety waiting to fit the play, and he spills it with his wrong shoulder, all of a sudden it's a 40-yard gain instead of a 2-yard loss. I mean, so many things have to be done right, and that's the thing of it, and we just got to get those down.
He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. We will have more about that win over Arkansas on Saturday when we come back. A reminder, AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. We will come back to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station for the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College. touchdown pass. Anias with his third as an Aggie. Talked about that offense being in rhythm early. Anias Smith with the touchdown catch, and the Aggies had the early lead on Arkansas. 31-27 was the final. The Aggies over the Razorbacks, and now 3-2 overall and 1-1 in SEC play. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is brought to you by Capital Farm Credit. Capital Farm Credit, together we're better. With the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, Jimbo Fisher. You know, since we have that highlight with Anias, again, one more in this receiving core. Anias with that catch. I thought Q was fantastic on Saturday.
He played good. He had some things he had to get fixed, though. He probably did. I mean, he had some great numbers, but he really had some opportunities on a couple of things he could have really came out on. But he played better. He's getting better in his routine and what's going on. And when Q plays really well, he's really good. When he gets the ball in his hand, and he's still getting back in the groove of playing. He
with that touchdown with 8 seconds left in that 2-minute drill. He caught that ball, Jimbo, and it was going to be a race for that pylon, and Q was not going to lose that race.
No, he did a good job. He's athletic. Big thing, we got a good block down the backside of Nice after he come off. He shielded that last guy, and Q made a really nice play.
And Jamon Osmond is just so dependable, Jimbo.
He's doing a good job. He is, and like I say, and even he had some things in the second half right there on those 2 third downs that we got to get worked out, that just flattening out. But he is playing super football right now.
You seem to be having some success throwing over the middle. Is that by design and how your receivers are?
Yeah, if you can't attack the middle of the field, you really can't throw the football. If they don't ever have to defend the middle of the field, they can always defend the outside part of it. You got to work inside out, and a lot of people don't like doing that, but you have to. When you know how to throw the football, you throw it inside. We're making good reads, good decisions, but you got to attack inside out.
In the second half, and you touched on this on Monday during the media availability, able to run that ball in the second half. Some really nice adjustments.
We did from the first two drives, and we had two drives. We had 8 out of 10 efficient runs. The last drive we had 1 out of 3, but the 8 out of 10 in those 2 middle drives that we actually went down through the pick on and scored a touchdown on. But there was 8 out of 10 efficient runs. And the thing about it, we actually had a couple runs blocked really well that we threw RPOs off of that we picked up 18 yards, 17 yards. So some of that's deceiving too as you go back, but some of it still we got to get cleaned up and get better.
We keep talking about young tight ends, but as we go throughout the season, Jimbo, they're not as young, are they? They just keep being able to gain that experience week to week.
They have to, and all of our young players are. And those guys, the more they get out there, the more they're going to see things, and hopefully, fix the mistakes they have and just keep getting better because they're talented guys.
It was nice to see Ryan McCullum get some snaps back there on the line. I know he's been dinged up a little bit, and he's just another one of those dependable offensive linemen.
But he's a guy that's going to rotate in there and knows what's going on all the time. He's played a lot of football. And played well in the game. He really did.
We always seem to talk about the other areas about depth, whether it's the secondary or the receivers or the running backs. It's nice to have that depth on the offensive line, isn't it?
That's the key. Those guys get banged up and bruised up, and they have to be able to play up there. And you can't have enough offense and defense linemen. There's no such thing as having enough.
Especially when you hit conference time?
Oh, but anytime. I mean, it's just the nature of the game. Guy falls in your ankle, guy falls in your leg, you're bruised, you're banged, and just the wear and tear on your body and just that contact. Those guys it's great when you got enough guys.
This is a bye week. The next game is next Saturday, 2:30 at Kyle Field. Alabama comes in. The reason why I'm going to bring up Alabama, the rankings came out. You kept talking playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're playing 1 and 1 again. Now, it just got tougher, didn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it does. But, they're all great teams, and that schedule just line up every week. And that gives you incentive to go prepare and get better. And you have to do that. And, you got great challenges, but you got great opportunities. So, we have a 4-game stint right here. We always talk about we got Alabama, and then we got Ole Miss, and we got Mississippi State, and we got UTSA. And after this, we got to get ready for that. And then we get another bye week. Hopefully, we can gear up and get better for the last 3. But, that's a 4-game stretch right here. And the season breaks down 5, 4, 3 and how we're doing it. And, but, the Alabama's next, and that's the one we got to keep getting prepared for. As long as some things on this week for the other guys, we'll mix in some tweaks, some things, along with just base fundamentals.
I was just going to ask you that. This week is more of getting back to that, where you have that opportunity to get back to that.
And if there's something in those games that they do that are different, we'll introduce them to our players so they have an idea when we do introduce it game week. It's not foreign to them. But at the same time, it's a lot about us and us getting better in the things in which we do.
Have they been good so far this week, the practices?
Yesterday was pretty good. Today was much better. Today we got back and had a day off. Tuesday was pretty good. Today I really, the enthusiasm of practice, not perfect, but good intensity. Got a lot of things done, got a lot of situations worked, and looked like we got a little bit after I didn't get to watch the film because we had to come to this show. So I'll get to watch it when I go home tonight, and we'll see where what we have to work on.
Do you also want the players to take that mental and physical break
no
during
doubt.
this bye week?
When you're away, you got to be away. You got to get away. You can't think about it all the time because people don't understand the grind that goes on to athletes. Now each player is different. Some guys can piece it, and some guys don't grind as much as others, but other guys stays with them all the time. But I know from a coach's standpoint, it's a constant, and it's not the physical, the mental grind of doing what you do and how you do it as a player, is big. And I think having these breaks, especially at this age, is good.
From camp, which was competitive,
Yep.
It was hot, to the games, the 2 bye weeks are going to end up being beneficial.
They are. You don't get that very often, but I think it is a good thing, especially for kids this age, because people forget, you go play a physical game, you don't get to spend all day in the training room like a pro does. I mean, you're playing 12 games, they're playing 16, but you're not. You have class, you have study hall, you have tutors. You're not in that training room as much and taking care of your body all day long like they can do. And having that break, I think, is good. And you get a couple days here and there, and it's good, especially mentally and physically.
He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. It's Jimbo Fisher, and this is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. This is Aggie football from Learfield IMG College.
Throws left side for Anias. He stays in bounds. 40 dances to the numbers across midfield into Arkansas territory to the 45-yard line.
Anias Smith was doing his best Cam Buckley imitation on that one reception. The footwork, he beat a defender and then outraced him down the field. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. And the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is brought to you by Bud Light, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics, reminding you to enjoy responsibly. We were talking about the moments, and some seem to stand out. All of them are big. You talked about the 2-minute drill. The Seth Small field goal, Jimbo, to have that be a 4-point game, not a 1-point game, and
big.
the way Seth drilled that.
Yeah, he'd been kicking it very good. That's why, especially coming off last week where he missed 2 kicks, and it was very tough to come back from and hit that kick. Was very big, very, very big-time kick in a crucial situation. Very happy for him, and glad he's doing well.
Justin Matabike with an interception off a deflection.
Yeah, off a deflection back inside, yep.
I give Nick Starkel a ton of credit for getting in his way as he's rumbling at him during that.
Well, it's quarterback. That's what you got to do that. And unfortunately, I hope he's all right.
Yeah.
He get banged up on that play.
But Justin just has that, and a big sack by Justin on that last drive that kept Arkansas a little farther away.
You're exactly right.
Well, it seems, Jimbo, that just in the time that you have been there seems to be a sack in the Kentucky game last year, the sack that pushed them just far enough where the field goal hit the crossbar. LSU, there seemed to be some kind of big defensive play.
Well, you got to be able to do that, and we work a lot of game situations. So our guys understand the importance of, on offense, we talk about it all the time. When you're getting those situations on offense, all right, you want no turnovers, no penalties, no negative plays. So we're telling the defense, okay, we got to find a way to create a turnover, try to get something, we get negative plays, or cause them to have a penalty with a rush or a sack. And that, when you do that in those situations, the chances of scoring almost null and void. They go away. So defensively, they understand that. And Justin's just so talented, and he's playing hard, and that was a big-time play in a big situation.
One of the punts
almost could have had a second one right after that.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if it had been a sack. It might have been a 1-yard gain, but we had that one, and dadgummit got through our hands.
Yeah. The punt by Braden Mann, he punts it 60 yards, and it checked up at around the 5. I think it was officially 59. You don't always see punts that far check up like that.
And then he hit it just right. Now, that way, I'm going to be on. He wasn't trying to do that. He hit a good one, but he does hit it so high, and it does, and get into that. But like I say, that guy changes games, changes field position, is a weapon as a punter, and that doesn't happen very often. And on top of that, he's a better person and teammate than he is punter. And he's as good as there is, and I've ever been around.
You have a lot of fun with him at practice as well, don't you?
We do. Oh, I love joking with him. Yeah, it is fun.
And there's just that with those special teams, and as you always say, don't get bored with them. They have really taken that to heart, haven't they? All of them.
They have, and you got to be able to do that, and hitting yards and in these tight games, and that makes a difference. Just, even giving up a field goal to a touchdown when you're playing on a short field compared to a long field, if they do hit a big drive. And if you don't give up the big plays and you make guys execute 9, 10, 12 play drives, they're hard to do, so it's a big weapon when your special teams are playing well.
Jimbo, we were wondering who was going to be your middle linebacker coming into this year, and Buddy Johnson has not just embraced that role as middle linebacker, but I think that role as a leader, and he was all over the field against Arkansas.
He did a really good job, and he's doing a good job leading and feeling more comfortable in those shoes, and Buddy just gets better and better each week. There's no doubt.
He was talking about how he took the vocal leadership and the energy of a Tyrell Dotson, and very much the watch what I'm doing leadership of Otaro Laka, and trying to merge both. Like, he really seemed to pay attention to both of those, and that's what he wants to bring in.
It's like parents. Players look at the older guys. That's why it's important for your older players, when you're talking about culture and tradition and history, to do things right, because that's what those younger players see is what they emulate, just like kids do. What they see from their parents or their heroes or what's on TV, or unfortunately that's what happens sometimes on TV nowadays. But you are right. I mean, those things, that's what you emulate, and that's what you see, and when it's done the right way. And Buddy, it just keeps growing in that role and doing a really, really good job.
Doing a wonderful job in that one. And he and the Aggies had the 31-27 win over Arkansas on Saturday. We will continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. We've got some questions upcoming when we return, and the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.
Slant, caught, spin away, Q, he's going to run to the left side, and into the end zone! 22-yard catch and run, Courtney Davis, and with 8 seconds left in the half, touchdown Aggies!
That was the touchdown that capped the 2-minute drill for the Aggies and had the lead at the break. We continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Football and barbecue lovers know the perfect brisket needs the right wood. Rudy's smokes all their meats using their delicious signature rubs in 100% oak-fired pits. Get your real Texas barbecue fix today at Rudy's or on the web at rudys.com. We thank all of you for checking in on Facebook. The Constantinu family is in, so Melbourne, Australia is our leader for farthest away. Jimbo, we've got East Greenbush, New York. We've got Metairie, Louisiana. I love that. Lakewood, Colorado. Coggan, Iowa. Danville, California. York, Pennsylvania. Virginia. Portland, Oregon. Hanahan, South Carolina. The Woodlands is checked in. Katy, Flatonia, and Corpus. Aggies are everywhere.
They are.
They're absolutely everywhere. It's the beauty of it.
Exactly right.
To see all of that. Some questions for you, Jimbo. Jack is going to lead us off this week. Ian, I'm holding you for last. You're going to be in that important position. With 2 weeks leading up to the Bama game, what's the team's energy, excitement looking like going up into that game?
Well, we always say that, today was up. I thought we had good intensity. I thought we practiced with good intensity, working a lot of fundamentals, a lot of different situations. So I thought we had a really good one today. Yesterday was it was not as good as today, but they got back into it, and then today was really good. Hopefully we'll have another great one tomorrow. So I think the mindset's good, and they understand the opportunities in front of them.
Charlie wants to know, how do you plan and prepare for the speed of the Alabama receivers?
You don't. You got to do different things. You got to zone them. You got to man them. You got to bump them. You got to double them. You got to mix things up, and also if you can find ways to put pressure on the quarterback, make the ball come out, or your blitz packages and things. But they have a very, very unique set of guys. they're extremely talented and one of the best groups. I've been a part of some really, really talented guys. We had national championship year in Florida State. We had 3 that had 1,000. Well, one had 990, and the other 2 had 1,200 and 1,100. So I've been part of those kinds of teams. And when I was at LSU, we had some, and I think we can do some of that with the future of our guys. But when I have 3, it makes it very tough because you got to be multiple, and you got to pick and choose, and when you double and who you take away at different times.
Yeah, there's an old saying in the NFL: you're only as good as your third receiver.
Yeah, right? Exactly right. People know 1 and 2, they find ways to take away, and they do a good scheme, and good players and well coached.
Mike wants to know, how do we use the pass to open up the run game?
Well, that's what we did. That's what we did a little bit the second half of that game. If you look in the Arkansas game, once it got going, then they played back and we got it. But you got to be able to throw the football and create the one-on-ones when the spread looks, and then even quarterback runs, scrambles. Getting them in pass situations, or when you think you're going to throw it, and if you get the numbers in the box, be able to run it. You have to. Sometimes it's just as effective the other way. If I say step run to step to pass, you can pass to step to run. It can be vice versa, but the key is being good at the first one.
Yeah, that's always the key. Okay, you know how we always were on the highway. We're going to take an exit because of Steve. Would you ever allow a fan to draw a play for you to call to use in a non-conference game?
Listen, hey, I don't differentiate between non-conference and conference. It's a game. Everybody says, well, that's not a big game. Well, when you lose games, they're all big games. It doesn't matter that way. So, no. If it's really, really good, I'll look at it. I'll give you credit for it if it's really good and we use it.
Ian wants to know, what is the most unappreciated job within a program?
There's so many. If you're talking administratively, football ops guys, even your secretaries, your recruiting people, the people in recruiting. There's so many assistants, and coaches have assistants and student assistants. You have no idea how many people it takes to run an organization and run it right. And we're still building that organization. We're not to the number in which we need and the things in which we need as far as that situation, because that has to evolve into time and the things that go on. But that it's there's no one. Right. There's the equipment guys, your video guys. Yep. You have no idea how hard they work. I'm trying to think. Everything and every part of it matters, because every part that touches the kid has to have a championship mentality. And I think it was a oneness, and it becomes the culture of the place. And so from janitors, from how well your locker room, your players keep your locker room clean, janitors keep the locker room clean, the equipment room, the trainers. I mean, you name it. Mm-hmm. I mean, your bathrooms in every and you walk in our building. I mean, everything needs to be spotless. Everything needs to be clean. It sends a message, and it sends a message to the players because they see it every day. Sometimes they're not even cognizant of it till later, and they say, and you bring it up, and they say, man, everything. And then when they go somewhere else and it's not the same, mm-hmm. they appreciate the difference. I mean, but it's a never-ending quest when you're getting to that level, and we got to build it the right way and build it from the ground up and do the right things.
That's all the part of that culture. You use that word, right? That's all
exactly
part of championship culture.
It is.
He's the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies. That's Jimbo Fisher, and this is the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credits. We'll continue. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.
Kellen over the middle, back in the end zone. Courtney Davis, touchdown, Aggies!
Q with his second touchdown, making that catch in the back of the end zone in the Aggies' 31-27 win over Arkansas on Saturday. As we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, it's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Gritty is an absolute game-changing provider of electricity. They're giving Texans access to wholesale electricity with no markups, all for a membership of just $9.99 a month. David Heath has checked in. David was the Lifetime Achievement winner last year in the Burgess Banquet. He's checking in from Sun River, Oregon, wow. And he wants to tell us that it was 25 degrees today.
Wow.
It was 94 today, David. Just want you to know, at least it wasn't.
I don't know if I want 25, but I'll take about minus 25.
At least 25 degrees cooler, maybe.
Yeah.
Jimbo, because it is bye week, what is the plan for you and the coaches, not just this week, but this weekend?
Sunday we met and we had a big recruiting meeting, watched all the film, reviewed all the things, all the mistakes. Monday they were all out recruiting. Tuesday we practiced Wednesday, practice Thursday, and go recruiting Friday. And then some will be recruiting Saturday, depends on games and things are going. Some may have if you're one of your guys is not involved in a Saturday game, you'll have a little break right there, get together and finish game planning and be back in the office 1:30 on Sunday morning.
And then next week, I would imagine there's a good number of recruits will be coming in for that Alabama.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. We have a number of officials and unofficials. There'll be quite a number of folks coming in.
Last week, end of last week, before we headed up to Dallas, you had a chance to hand out the rings again. It was another ring day, and that always special, Jimbo,
it
for
is.
you?
I know it always is. And just watch those kids and how far they've come and what they've done, and to know that they put it on, and just to watch their families, as much as their faces, which is awesome, but their families' faces, and realize what they are and what they've just become a part of.
I always, when I watch that, because I love being able to see that, I love the pride, because again, it's earned. That ring is earned. But it always gets me, Jimbo. I think the teammates are more excited for their teammates.
They really are. I tell them I wish they get that excited for practice, But they do. I mean, it is. And because they all know, some of them have already had them, and they're wanting to get there. And it's just, it's a time of accomplishment, and everybody knows that's something very significant in your life and one of the reasons you come here.
And they know that getting from you because that message is so consistent, whether it's on the football field or off the football field for them, right?
Well, it is. It's consistent, and they know what that ring stands for and what A&M stands for, and the whole everything encompassing. And it's a big day. It's a fun day.
We will step aside. We'll talk more with Jimbo Fisher, the head coach of the Fighting Texas Aggies, as the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show will continue. The Jimbo Fisher Radio Show is presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's, 504 Harvey Road here in College Station. Stay with us. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College.
Right, here they come. Hicks throws, incomplete. Aggies survive.
Buddy Johnson on that coverage. Jeremiah Martin was on that coverage as well. The incompletion, and the Aggies get the 31-27 win.
Yeah, it really was. That was a tight end throwback, which is a very tough play to play, especially in a crucial situation like that. That's a gutsy call and a tough call that can really come open. And we had two guys actually play it, which was very disciplined and very good play.
And that sealed the victory for the Aggies. One thing I'd like to mention: this past Monday night, my partner Dave Elmendorf and I able to go to our Austin affiliate. Austin's Aggie Station, Talk 1370 with the 12th Man Happy Hour. My thanks to them for having us for that evening. And we lost a great one in Ed Simonini to cancer, unfortunately. A&M Athletics Hall of Fame in 1982. He played in 72. Emery Ballard was the head coach. That was when freshmen were able to play. They were eligible, not since World War II. And all he did was start all 4 years. He was all Southwest Conference, all-decade team. If you get a chance, go to 12thman.com. That man right there, Alan Cannon, put together an absolutely terrific article on Ed Simonini, one of the great Aggies. Yes. Undersized, right? Yeah, right. You can't teach heart, can you?
Well, no, it's heart, but certain guys have certain. When you play linebacker, and I mean it's like running. It's such an instinctive position. To be able to process information, see things explode, and there's a naturalness, a natural toughness and instinctiveness to tackle and fit gaps and do things that, we play them in different positions. Sometimes you'll see it safety in the secondary, but linebacker is, listen, it doesn't take you long, in my opinion, to know if a guy's a really good player at linebacker. Because if you're sitting there having to say, well, he can do, then he's not the guy. Mm-hmm. That guy either sees it, he processes, especially the guys in the middle. And they can do that, and he was such an instinctive, great player. I remember him in pro football. Yeah. I mean, what he did as a kid.
With Mike Curtis and Stan White for those Colts teams.
Yeah, exactly. I remember. Just a natural football player. Yeah. And doesn't matter your size then, because great leverage guy and play with great ferocity, physical.
Consensus All-American. No freshman has had his 98 tackles. Still an A&M freshman record. 425 for his career. In lieu of flowers, the family is asking for donations in Ed's honor to the American Cancer Society. And I think I saw the celebration of life is on the 19th in October up in Euless. So at Saviano's. So and it starts at 12 until the stories run out. That is my favorite line. I love that. So that will be a celebration of Ed Simonini. Unfortunately, he was supposed to be the captain on Saturday.
Yes.
The honorary captain for that. And he is SEC's 2019 legend. So he will be honored during that SEC championship game. It also led me into what a weekend for former Aggies in the NFL. Do you get a chance, or are you just too busy to see what Josh Lambo, a game-winning field goal for him? Ricky Seals-Jones was outstanding. Mike Evans in the Tampa Bay
the guys
win.
will bring guys up to us, and they'll say, how'd our guys do, or the guys we had, and the guys in the past, and what goes on with that. So, you keep quite you don't get them all, but, during the days, some of the student assistants and the GAs that sneak back there and don't do the work and start watching NFL. And they get back there. And now a lot of times they'll turn the TV on while they're filling out all those sheets and charts and all that stuff, and they're like, they can do it. And keep up on the guys and just come old players I've coached at different schools and all the old guys here and what's going on and what's happened at A&M players. So we just like to hear about them.
I like what you always said. You don't want to see them, right, during your season because that means they're playing.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They're playing. I just don't have time. You don't. On Sundays, man, that's a very, very important day, and you got to get as much information and film as you can.
When you talk about getting a chance to review film, you take that opportunity as soon as that game ends. You have it on a laptop, do you not? You start looking the moment that game ends, don't you?
If the bus ride's over 10 minutes, I'll watch it all the way back to the airport, and then I'll watch it. You'll see them, you guys. Yeah. I grade them all, try to get them all, and then I'll grade them again that night. I'll grade it twice, go back and look at it, and then we'll watch it as a staff, try to see, because you always see something different each and every time and as you go through it. And key modes of the game, and just you got to stay on, and so you can educate the guys on what they did right, what they did wrong, and how to keep staying there or improving whatever they need to do.
And they will, the players themselves will take a look at with their position coaches, will they not? And then with the offense or the defense, and then the entire team?
Well, no, you don't have to see. Here's the thing, depends. We do cut-ups. You only get so much time. You ain't like the NFL. We watched this last game. We took the time to watch it as a team. There were so many little things I wanted to point out, how close we were and how one little thing affects this whole deal. We could have really, like I said, in the first half, should have scored 42 points. Had an opportunity of very simple, easy things to do. And but that's football all the time. But you got to get them together as much as you can. What you can't, because college football makes it very tough, because to coach all those guys and the limited amount of time you have to watch film, it's hard to get through the whole film. It really is. As you have your position coaches do it, but I'll make certain cut-ups of 10 to 15 plays I think are significant, and things we did well, things we did poorly, why it was good, why it was bad, I think are game-changing situations. But this week, because of an off week, we took Tuesday, cut practice back, and really took time to sit down as a units and together and do it. But it's hard in as much as you can. It's the time allotments. People don't realize high school kids the coaches get as much or more time, probably more time with their kids than we do.
Really?
Believe that or not.
Is it by week? Certain number of hours?
Certain 20 hours a week.
Gotcha.
That counts practice, games, all that stuff, meetings. You get 20 in the off season. You only get 8. That's counting your weightlifting and everything.
Gotcha. That's you got. That's where
and
the efficiency
they think we
comes in.
can go grab guys and go work with them on it. We can't.
Right.
It's illegal. You're not allowed to do that.
And the other thing I wanted to let folks, it's not a bye week thing, but one of the reasons this team leaves on a Thursday for a game on Saturday. Friday morning is all study.
It's
right?
all academic. We get them
academic.
Get them a great night's sleep on Thursday night. They get there off the bus. They get there, get a great night's sleep, hotels, and then they're up. And at 9:30 to 9:30, 12:30, all your academic thing. We take our academic advisors and everybody, and it's all academics. So they get caught up, get everything caught up, and whatever because a lot of stuff's online. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is there. They have their tutors, study halls, all that stuff. The people work with them, and they do that. And then we start our meetings about 1:30.
And they get that because that's now taken care of. That responsibility.
So if you didn't, you would be getting ready. They would be getting out of class earlier that day to go have their meetings and all that stuff, and get on a plane and go. We actually are more efficient academically by doing that than we are by leaving on Friday.
That's been.
And we get better rest, 2 nights rest.
That's the really good thing. And it led to a 31-27 win over Arkansas this past Saturday. Much more Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. We're at Rudy's 504 Harvey Road. Come on back. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance wants to give you a VIP Aggie basketball fan experience this year. Go to 12thman.com/maroon contest and register. One winner and a guest will receive game tickets, a VIP tour of Reed Arena, and will be recognized on the video board during the game. Register today at 12thman.com/maroon contest. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. I was worried about this show because the wild card's going on, the AL wild card. I know you're a baseball fan.
Yeah, I was picking up at it.
Get an opportunity to watch that. Jimbo, I wanted to ask you because we heard from the SEC earlier. We get a chance, Dave Elmendorf, Will Johnson, and I, along with the rest of the announcers in the SEC, get a chance to go to the league offices and meet with Steve Shaw, the head of the officials. Mm-hmm. They have come down over camp. They're actually for lack of a better phrase, embedded with teams for a couple of days. They go over rules and kind of get familiar with what you're running, do they not?
Well, they do, but our big thing is how they're going to call things, what they're looking for, what are their emphasis on in calls, and whether you think it's holding or not, this is how we're calling holding, this is how we're calling interference, this is how we're calling hands to the face, or whatever it may be, and the rules and things, and it opens the lines of communications.
Yeah, I think.
And also, I think it helps them also understand. Like we got into, they got in some arguments or in discussions about how they call things, and then you explain to them why we're doing it and what we look, and then I see that now. So I mean, I think it will change how they look at things, how they call things, because understanding the coach's perspective, just like we got to understand, there's give and take to this, and what's trying to be accomplished, and why that we think that should be a penalty or why that shouldn't be a penalty, because based on how the game has to be played. So it's a give and take both ways.
You made this comment, and I thought it was interesting. You also want your team to not the penalty. You want to know what's there, so you're not holding, so that gets called in a critical situation.
How do we teach it? All right, if you're saying that and we're teaching this, you're going to call, okay, we don't believe that is, but if you're calling that, we got to teach it a different way. We got to do this a different way. Whatever, just what are the rules, what's the consistency, and all those things. The big thing about it is just consistency. So we can teach, coach, and do the things that don't, cause those infractions.
They want that transparency is what Steve Shaw's talked about. And he's the head of
Steve
the
does a great job.
And they were talking about how if you send something in, they want to look at it on Monday. They want to get back to you as quickly as possible.
They usually get back. Most of them you get back Monday evening.
Really?
Most of the time, yeah. You get back Monday. We send them in on Sunday. We send them in Sunday night, get them all in there, and usually by Monday evening you get most of your answers back. Sometimes it's Tuesday, depending on what goes wrong.
Yeah.
What kind of week they had.
if it's Monday night,
if there's a long, if they've had a bunch of calls and a bunch of different games, I mean, hey, it's just like us. I mean, and I say that, I mean, you don't always play your best, so you have issues and your problem. Well, sometimes they don't always call their best, or they miss things, or there's debates, or what goes on. I mean, it's human nature. It's a human element of the game.
Right.
And so, it goes back and forth both ways.
Do you like being able to be able to talk? Let's say you're frustrated. You don't like the call, obviously. But you like when that referee walks away from you, Jimbo. That can't be any good. You want to be able to talk with him.
No, you do, and all of them, 99.9% of them. I don't know the other 1%. I haven't met them, but I mean they usually communicate. Yeah. Whether it's you agree or disagree, you usually get to communication.
Yeah. All I know is we were there in Birmingham, and I said I don't have to agree with the call because I look at everything through maroon and white glasses. Yeah. So I may not agree, but I like that there's that explanation, and they have the Twitter feed. They have their own website at SEC Officiating. I like that they're trying to do that because I think once you have more of the understanding, I think
we do. And like I say, when you send in calls, I send our own calls in. You missed a call. That should have been holding. That should have been interference. I send them in.
Yeah.
People, he says not many of them do it. I said, well, that's my object ain't to get calls. It's just call the game the right way.
Right.
If we deserve it, we'll win. If we don't, we won't. But I mean, just do it the right way, and that way everybody's even.
One final segment of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show presented by Capital Farm Credit. Come on back to Rudy's. This is Aggie Football from Learfield, IMG College. We can tell you that this copyrighted broadcast is an exclusive presentation of Learfield IMG College under the broadcasting rights granted by Texas A&M University. Reuse of this presentation is prohibited without the express written consent of Texas A&M University and Learfield IMG College. Announcers are provided by Learfield IMG College and Texas A&M University. As we continue with the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show, it's presented by Capital Farm Credits. And AT&T is a proud partner of Texas A&M Athletics. More for your thing. That's our thing. As we wrap up this edition, you're not going to be able to get any hunting in or anything this weekend.
No,
no time
no,
for yourself.
no.
It's all football. You always said hunting, fishing, and football until it's football season.
Yeah, well,
and then football's
see the kids a little bit too, but other than that, a little bit of family. But other than that, no, it'll be ball and getting ready.
All that. Jimbo, is there also part of this time off where now the players have to take care of themselves? They'll have some time, but they've got to be ready once they hit. You talked about Sunday,
they got to rest,
1:30.
sleep. Nutrition. Also, getting healed up. Also, what we held a couple guys for practice or two just to let their bodies heal up. Some couple little injuries, nicks and knacks to get them out. But they'll be back and getting some of the practice. But just getting ready, not only mentally but physically, and getting their bodies right to go. No doubt.
That's maybe the best thing about it, right? Because the season takes its toll to be able to get your body
the days off. Listen, football, you have no idea the grind that it takes on you.
I like your the bigger point of being the mental part of it, just to get that refresher.
You do. You got to get away and get it back. And also, you miss a couple of days. Hey, man, I miss it. You don't realize when you're doing it, something like you do something every day, and all of a sudden you get a couple of days off, and you go, dang, I miss that. You know what I mean? You really do. I mean, you get back, because that's what you do and who you are.
Yep, absolutely. Well, enjoy this off time, and then I know next week preparation, we'll be able to talk about Alabama next week. The number one, right? You get another number one.
Yeah, it's all right. Hey, you got great opportunities,
right?
We just got to get better this week.
Absolutely. Jimbo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here during this bye week as the Fighting Texas Aggies at 3-2 and 1-1 in the SEC. We will be back with you next Wednesday for another edition of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. We'll be right back here at Rudy's next week at 7 o'clock for our next edition. Kevin Menchow is our engineer here at Rudy's. Abby Klatt is the producer of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. She is in our Learfield IMG College studios. And I'm Andrew Monaco. We thank you so much for joining us on the network, on Facebook Live. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you next Wednesday for the next edition of the Jimbo Fisher Radio Show. It's presented by Capital Farm Credit. Thanks and gig 'em. This is Aggie Football from Learfield IMG College.